literally speechless, breathless, absolutely stunned, amazing, gorgeous. I don't know what to do with myself. I chase writing styles like this. Y'all, I just finished the first chapter of Juniper and Thorn. Hello, gorgeous angel besties. I'm so excited that you're here. We are starting a weekend reading vlog and I'm switching up my genres a little bit, but they are all books that I cannot wait to get to. So I hope that you're excited. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe, and let's talk about these books. First and foremost, I have heard nothing but good things about Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I have read multiple books by this author. I absolutely love her writing style. If you love a descriptive, well thought out, more flowery writing style, I think that you will love this author. But I'm excited because the other books that I've read by her are much more magical realism and they tend to talk about serious topics. Like I think about Once and Future Witches, which had such an emotional impact on me, whereas this is more of a haunted house book. I'm excited. I don't know what I'm getting into. I feel like this is outside of her normal genre, or like, yeah, I guess genre is the right word for it. So I'm so excited for Starling House. Then we have Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed. Not gonna lie, reading the summary of this book, I feel like I still don't know anything about what's gonna go on. I recently read A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed and loved her writing style. I feel like she has a similar writing style to an Alex Harrow, so I thought this would be a good fit to stick in for this weekend as well. And then, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think that A Far Wilder Magic by Allison Saft also has like a similar, very descriptive, lyrical writing style. And so that's kind of the theme for these books, even though they might seem a bit different from each other. I don't know why, in my brain, they seem to all kind of fit in the same box or category. So I also have A Far Wilder Magic by Allison Saft. A little nervous for this one because I've heard, I guess, some more mixed reviews about this. Some people who love, I think, a slower paced story and a beautiful writing style have really enjoyed it, but other people that I know that have read it said it was kind of mid. So these are the three. I do have some audiobook holds for Juniper and Thorn on my Libby, and I think also A Far Wilder Magic. So we'll see if either of those come in, but I'm actually really excited. I've been in the mood to read physically lately. To start off the weekend strong, I'm about to join Sprints with Mel on her channel. And I think I'm gonna start off with Starling House because this is the one I'm definitely most excited to get to, and she's a shorty, so starting off a weekend reading vlog, finishing a shorter book always just puts me on a high. So let's do this. So I am now 75 pages into Starling House, and I am loving this so much. Alex Harrow is just such an immersive writer that you literally just get sucked right into the story. It did take me maybe the first 20 pages that I was reading, sorry if you can hear JMO snoring, to just like get used to a writing style like this because it's been so long since I've read such a lyrical, immersive, lots of literary devices type writing style. But once you get into it, it is just, you're in the story with these characters, and it is creepy and scary and unsettling. Like, this book is just so interesting. I love that the Starling House has such a mystery surrounding it, and we get to learn the mystery and learn more of the history of the town with our main character Opal. So let me give a quick summary of this book because I haven't done that yet. In this book, our main character is Opal. She has not had the easiest life in general. Her mom passed away when she was really young. They're not a very well-off family, so she had to drop out of high school to take care of her younger brother. She is working as a part-time cashier and she's really trying to create a better life for her brother Jasper, who is super, super smart. He has the opportunity to go to more of an elite high school, and so she is trying to sacrifice everything that she can, absolutely scrimp on money to be able to send her brother out of this town, because the town that they live in, called Eden, Kentucky, she thinks it's cursed because nothing in this town goes right. It is an old mining town that has since dried up. The power plant is the most powerful family in the town. It's not good living conditions. She's always been fascinated by the Starling house, which has a ton of rumors and very nefarious, creepy things that are going on with the Starlings, the family that has lived in this town that's also one of the oldest families, and their house just has very creepy, weird vibes. But she's been obsessed with this house because one of her favorite books was written by this reclusive, I'm gonna say creepy again because she's literally so creepy. She wrote this children's book with all of these very unsettling, dark illustrations, and that book left a very clear impression on Opal, and so she gets the chance to become a housekeeper at Starling House, and that's when we really start to learn a lot more about the family, about interacting with the house, about the history of the town, and it just keeps getting darker and darker and darker. And I'm only 75 pages into the book. I was also surprised to find that we have some illustrations in this book. I'll show you just the first one because I won't go into all of them, but this can kind of give you an idea of the creepy illustrations that were in the children's book that Opal was obsessed with called The Underland. I think I'm gonna continue reading for a little while. I am just so sucked into the story, I don't want to put it down. And if I can get up to, let's set a nice page goal for myself for today, because we have a couple of books that we need to get through. I'd love to read up to page 152, chapter 17. This is my bookmark. I felt like it was kind of fitting for a creepy house. The thing that I'm loving probably the most about this book is that Opal is so snarky and cynical, and we read from her POV, and she's just such a realistic character. Her characters always have such a unique worldview, and she does such an incredible job of bringing that worldview to life to make that character feel real. And the other thing that I love is when a haunted house has a personality of its own, and it kind of becomes its own, it becomes an active character in the story, and it's not just a setting. Besties, it is the next day. I am now on page 160 of Starling House and absolutely loving this so much. I have to read something to y'all because I feel that I can't describe in words without actually just reading her writing how incredible it is. It takes my breath away. He feels Opal swallow. Her voice is an exhalation. Are you really going to kick me out again? God, he doesn't want to. He wants to push up her shirt and press his lips to the hollow place between the wings of her ribs. He wants to make her spine arch against the couch. He wants her to stay and stay. So does the house. The room is warm and wisteria sweet around them, the light, gentle amber. He wonders if Opal has noticed that the water comes out of the faucet whatever temperature she wants, and the cushions are always precisely where she likes them best, that she never trips on the stairs or fumbles for a light switch, and that the sun follows her from window to window, room to room, like a cat hoping for affection. Literally speechless, breathless, absolutely stunned, amazing, gorgeous. I don't know what to do with myself. I started listening to the audiobook because I don't want to put this down, but also I don't want it to be over. So the audiobook is incredible as well. The narrator, I actually meant to look up who narrates this book because her voice and just like the way that she's reading things is incredible. Natalie Naudis. I don't think I've ever listened to an audiobook narrated by her, but I love her so much. So I'm trying to read as much as I can right now because in a little bit I need to run some errands. We are getting our nails done today. One of my nails broke and I don't want to talk about it, but we're getting our Valentine's Day nails today. And then I packed some Pango books earlier. I have an order that I need to ship. So we're gonna go to the post office and do that as well. Other than that, my plans for the day are to read and read and read. But I don't have too far, so I'm definitely at the halfway point. I think the audiobook says that I only have a little over 3 hours left. Unfortunately and fortunately, we will be finishing her today and then we will decide what to start next. I do also have to update my reading journal because I finished a couple books that I haven't recorded in there, so we will do that together as well. Hello friends, it has been a while since I've checked in last. The nails are done. I think that I'm on chapter 26, but I might be on chapter 27. Whenever I listen to audiobooks on, what's this called now? Everend, the chapters are always like one off. So on Everend, it says that I'm on chapter 25. I'm still really enjoying it. I'm trying to figure out what genre this book is because it does have not even magical realism, because there are like some fairly fantastical elements in this book, but it's really bordering on mystery thriller because there's so many questions about the house and the town and the people and all these things. But I've heard a lot of people talk about this book to be like a gothic horror, so I'm leaning more towards mystery thriller, but it feels wrong to call this book a thriller because it has like fantastical elements to it. I don't know, I'm very all over the place. This is all I have left of Starling House and I will be finishing this tonight. I'm not giving myself the choice. It's literally just going to happen. I don't know whether I want to start Juniper and Thorn or A Far Wilder Magic. So what I might end up doing is read a chapter of both and just see which one's catching my interest a little bit more. If I don't check in again tonight, I'm going to check in tomorrow with final thoughts on this and what we're gonna pick up next. It is the next day. I have yet to do any reading, but it is a rainy, kind of gloomy, dark day outside, and so it's going to be perfect for reading. But first, I had to film a video today. I completely emptied my TBR cart. Basically, my TBR cart, I just keep all of my physical TBR there all the time. I don't necessarily arrange it or like pull from my shelves for a given month. I just keep all of my unread physical TBR on my TBR cart, and then once I read them, I transfer them to my bookshelves. But I have been meaning to reorganize. Now that I've filmed that video and taken all of these books off of my TBR cart and it is fully empty, I figured we could reorganize it. It is much later than I thought it was going to be. It's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. But I did finish Starling House and I meant to give my final thoughts and updates. So I don't think it's a surprise. I gave this book 5 stars. Every time I talk about it, I literally smile. I love it so much. Oh, let me shut off my ambient room. We have fire crackles and wind going on in the background. I chase writing styles like this. I love them so stinking much. It's one of my favorite writing styles. She's such a full circle author. So like everything in the book that you get introduced to in the beginning, just know there is going to be a connection. It's going to tie in at the end. And you leave her books just feeling like, wow, what an amazing story that I just read. It's very small town folklore, word of mouth, because there's this mysterious house that no one really knows anything about. There's all of these kind of crazy rumors that people have been talking about for generations, but no one knows what's true and what's not. To be able to see this story go from something that we were introduced to at the very beginning of the book, very speculatory, we don't really know what's happening with it, but it sounds like a crazy story, and then at the end, getting to see that transition from, oh, this was the first time we heard it, and this is the true story of what actually happened and what's going on. It was so wonderful. I just think that she did like small town Kentucky so well. It was so well represented. And the other piece that I thought was interesting when you get to the end, she actually includes a bibliography. Not that this is a true story at all. Like, this is a work of fiction, but she looked into witches, devils, and haints, Kentucky's haunted history. Water workers and wealth, how Old Gravely coal barge stripped Kentucky's Green River Valley. Problems in Paradise, an environmental history of Kentucky. So like, she took so many things from real life stories and entwined them so beautifully into the story of fiction. My mind is blown. I literally cannot deal with it. It's so incredible. I will always read from Alex Harrow. She is just an auto-buy author for me at this point. I think this is going to be a very difficult book to follow. Y'all, I just finished the first chapter of Juniper and Thorn. First of all, lovely writing style. Let's just start there. I'm so baffled by what I just read. I was hoping for a very strong writing style because that is what Study in Drowning gave. It was a fairly similar actually to Alex Harrow's writing style, where it's just very immersive and descriptive. The naming conventions are a little bit difficult in this book, not gonna lie, but Marlinchen and her 2 sisters and their dad live in this cottage. They're the city's last true witches and wizards, and so they have a lot of clients coming to them for magical purposes. Their house sounds, at least how I'm picturing in my head, even though they technically live in what sounds like a city, it sounds like they live in just the most picturesque witch cottage with a hatched roof and like a big hearth, very rustic. And they have gardens where they have like monsters that live all on their land. They took in this goblin who was left homeless after these like developers drained his swamp. And he's like very protective over her and her sisters. How stinking cute is that? They also have like a satyr. They say he's half man on the top and he has feet of a goat or a fawn. And all I think of is the guy from Hercules. I will put him a picture. And Marlinchen said that he is not her favorite. He's like a very weird creature. And then she has like a monster that lives under her bed. All of these things. Anyways, they snuck out to go see this ballet, as was mentioned in the summary. Wait, I can't remember if I gave the synopsis of this book in this video yet. I will do that in a second. They snuck out to go see this ballet because their father is very, very strict and she is just absolutely enamored with what she's seeing. It is this like folkloric tale that everyone knows in their land, but the ballet puts its own twist on it, and so she is just drooling. Her, everyone else in the audience, her sisters are just drooling over the main character in this ballet, whose name is Sebastian, I believe. And the reason why I'm so baffled is because this is so much more, without another way to say it, like so much more sexual than I thought it was gonna be. It was talking about how like he was shirtless and he had like gold flecks all over his chest, and the whole time she's just like watching his muscles underneath his tights, like jumping around and all of these things. And then she ends up going back, and they sneak back into their house undetected by their father, and she is just like thinking of him while she lays in bed, and I will leave you with that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not at all what I thought it was gonna be. I knew that it was going to be a romance with the undertones of like a very sheltered girl. Their father is described as tyrannical, xenophobic, who keeps his daughters sequestered from the outside world. Marlinchen's late night trysts grow more fervent and frequent, and so does the threat of her father's rage and magic, while Oblaya, that's the city they live in, flourishes with culture and bustles with enterprise. A monster lurks in its midst, born of intolerance and resentment and suffused with old world power. Caught between history and progress, blood and desire, Marlinchen must draw upon her own magic to keep her city safe and find her place within it. I thought this was a YA. I need to check if it is or not, but it's reading very adult and I am here for it. So that's why I'm so baffled and it's not what I thought it was gonna be. So that is one chapter of this. Not gonna lie, I don't really want to put it down right now, but I said I was going to, so I am. I'm gonna read a chapter of A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft, see how I feel about this one, but I have an inkling that I'm going to want to stick with Juniper and Thorn for now, but I will check in just a little bit and let you know. I ended up reading 2 chapters of A Far Wilder Magic because the first chapter was only 8 pages. I thought I was gonna make it easier to choose, but honestly, these both have such strong starts. However, I think I am gonna stick with Juniper and Thorn for the time being because I'm a bit more intrigued as to where this is going, and where it has a more romance-focused plot, I feel like that's what I'm in the mood for. I do think that this will also have some romance in it. I am really loving this writing style though. This is the first book that I am going to read from Alison Saft. She actually has a new book that's coming out called A Dark and Drowning Tide. It comes out in September of 2024. It looks stunning. I will pop up a picture of the cover because it is so beautiful. I think she uses, it looks like a similar, if not the same, cover artist as her other books. Like, I also really love this cover as well, and then it has the little fox on the back that kicks off their wild hunt, if you will. So both very strong starts. I have JMO keeping me company. We'll see how far I get today. I'm just kind of gonna read until I don't feel like reading anymore. Can we just take a moment for this writing? Dust motes drifted through the beams of latticed sunlight, illuminating the fine gray film that covered my mirror and my dressing table and the bone-white handle of my mother's comb. My pink shoes were peering like blind kittens through the crack in my wardrobe door, the heels clotted with dirt. Above them, a flash of cranberry silk, the drooping, unfastened laces of my corset. A thrill of something loosed in me, a memory shaken free. Sebastian's gold-daubed chest. Flushing, I closed my wardrobe door tightly, sealing my dress and shoes and evidence of our night of revelry inside. The latticed sunlight with dust coming through, I can barely breathe. I'm like gasping for air. friends, happy Sunday. So we have a lot of reading to get done in the last day of this reading vlog, but this morning I had Sunday morning sprints with y'all, which is so much fun. First sprints of 2024, and I was focused on Juniper and Thorn, so I am pretty much at the halfway point now. I'm on page 162. I'm now understanding. I feel like I needed to read another big portion of this book before I updated y'all again, because at first it was giving cottagecore, folkloric with a little bit of romance sprinkled in. It is a retelling of a tale called The Juniper Tree, which I'm not familiar with. However, this story and the naming conventions I learned, because I had to start looking up words, a lot of it derives from Russian words. And so I'll need to look up more detail about what The Juniper Tree is actually about, but you can kind of tell, even being unfamiliar with the tale, it's kind of following a certain classic pattern of like a fairy tale. There's three sisters, bad things happen in threes, the way that the magic is working in this book. But I'm getting to the point where there's a lot of descriptions in this book, and like I mentioned before, the writing is stunning. However, as you get deeper and deeper into this book, it is described as a gothic horror. Things start to get more and more stomach turning in the way that they're described, or certain situations that start to come up are a bit gross. I am really enjoying the storytelling though. I'm very intrigued as to where the story is going to go. The audiobook is also great. I picked it up on Everand because this morning I was like taking JMO outside, walking him, and I didn't want to put the book down during sprints, so I was listening to it. It is very good. I like the narrator. I will say there are some trigger warnings in this book that were never touched on in the beginning. Like, there's definitely not content warnings for this, but I figured I would let y'all know. There are situations that are difficult to read because Marlinshin comes from an abusive household. I think it was mentioned that her father is not the nicest person, and that's putting it very mildly. He is extremely controlling. There are situations that are difficult to read. There is an eating disorder content warning as well that I would throw in here. If I come across any others, I will certainly let you know. But I think that some of those would have been a little important to say up front, because even some of the situations that I've been reading about, I was like, whoa, I was not expecting it to get this dark. But maybe I would have expected that if I had been familiar with The Juniper Tree. Tough to say. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to listen to the audiobook for this a little bit more today. I also have some chores that we need to do. I need to fold laundry and do laundry and wash bedding and stuff like that, which are all prime opportunities to listen to audiobooks. Friends, I just finished this book and I really don't know how I feel about it. I did just write my review on Goodreads because I was like, let me try to sort through my feelings and have some coherent sentences to say, but overall this book made me feel so weird. And from where this book starts to where it ends, it starts off very like fairy tale retelling, beautiful writing style. As you continue through the book, it gets like darker, much more disturbing, very weird, and the writing style is great throughout, but like the writing style goes from being very like beautiful and lush to being disturbing with the metaphors and similes it's throwing at you. And so it does a great job of making you feel unsettled and uncomfy. But I don't understand why this book had to get so weird, and I don't understand the overall point or like message of the book, because I feel like with fairy tale retellings there's usually a point to everything, but I just don't understand like why. Like, we did this for what? Like, there's some very weird things that happen towards the end of this book. I ended up giving it like 2.5. I'm torn between like a 2.5 and a 3-star because the writing was good, and the beginning started out fine. Like the first 30 to 40% I was in it. The second half of the book, I wanted to know where it was going, but I wasn't happy like as I was reading through what was happening. I don't like the very uncomfy feelings I'm feeling right now. So I'm gonna switch to A Far Wilder Magic and try to get to maybe page 100 or 150. I think I just need to take a little break from reading before I jump into A Far Wilder Magic. Hopefully A Far Wilder Magic doesn't do me dirty like Juniper and Thorn, where I was vibing with this until I wasn't. I realized that I haven't given an official synopsis for A Far Wilder Magic, and I also have a reading update slash I'm closing out the vlog here. So this book, we follow Margaret Welty. She spots the legendary Hala, which is the last living mythical creature, and she knows that the Half Moon Hunt will soon follow. Whoever is able to kill the Hala gets like a cash prize, but they also get a lot of fame attached to it. It's seen as a very like noble thing for the most part in their society. While Margaret is the best sharpshooter in town, only teams of 2 can register, and she needs an alchemist. Enter Weston Winters, or Wes. He isn't an alchemist yet. He's been fired from every apprenticeship he's landed, and his last chance hinges on Master Welty taking him in. But when Wes arrives at Welty Manor, he finds only Margaret. She begrudgingly allows him to stay on one condition: he must join the hunt with her. Although they make an unlikely team, they soon find themselves drawn to each other. As the hunt looms closer and tensions rise, Margaret and Wes uncover dark magic that could be the key to winning the hunt if they survive that long. Okay, so I am, like I said, 120, actually 130 pages in. I'm on chapter 12. And I'm really enjoying this book. First of all, these characters are like ripping my heart in two with their backstories. I think that the characterization is really strong right up front. Very descriptive writing style, as my last 2 books in this vlog have been, which is really nice. I would say this one isn't overly lyrical and flowery, but you do get some paragraphs in a chapter that go into a deeper description of the setting and things like that. Y'all know I love that writing style. So I am loving that, but it's not overdone as maybe like Starling House and Juniper and Thorn were. Definitely more in your face about it. But this book is such an interesting balance, and it's not what I was expecting it to be. So the seaside town that Margaret lives in and that Wes travels to is quaint, small, seaside, woodsy town. There are some modern influences to the society. So Wes is from the city where they have politicians. Like, he wants to become a politician, and all politicians in their society are also established alchemists. So it's like, whoa, we're bringing like politics into this? This is kind of odd. And there's like factory workers, there's cars, automobiles, taxis, trains. So there's some industrialization to the society that I wasn't expecting. It's so odd. Like, this book and Juniper and Thorn were much more of a mix of like old school society with some modern elements to it. What I'm really finding fascinating and love about this book, because I am a Full Metal Alchemist girly, the alchemy and like the magic system in this world reminds me so much of Full Metal Alchemist, because it talked about at one point there was a war in this world that happened in the past, and they talked about how alchemy was used to create like super weapons basically, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's giving Full Metal. Basically, the magic, the alchemy in this world, they're able to enhance things of everyday use. So there was one scene, for example, where Wes tries to make chopping wood a little bit easier for himself, and he's like, let me imbue this axe with the qualities of a stone to make it much more sturdy and durable, and hopefully easier for me to chop this wood, because he was really having a rough go about. But he ends up doing the alchemy, and it just made the axe like wicked heavy to the point where he couldn't even pick it up. So it doesn't always go perfectly, but I find that really interesting that they can enhance certain items that are already like created in the world and just enhance them with properties from something else. I also find it very interesting that there's some like religion tied into this, because the Hala is this sacred spirit animal, essentially. There's multiple different perspectives on the gods and on these spiritual animals. One group of people thinks that these animals are demons. Others think that they are sacred and special, and participating in the half moon hunt is sacrilegious. So that's coming into play in certain backstories of certain characters, and it's making this deadly competition have a lot more high stakes. Y'all already know I love a deadly competition setup, and I love the interaction between Margaret and Wes. I think that they're not overly bantery, I would say. It's not overly romantic in any way. I think that this book has done a really fantastic job so far in showing that these two characters come from very, very different backgrounds. Each of them is kind of seeing, oh, the grass is always greener on the other side. Like, Wes was jealous of what Margaret had, and Margaret is like hating her life, and vice versa. It's a little bit of a slower start to the book. I have been enjoying every single page. Every time I sit down to read this book, I'm very excited to get back into it, but I have trust issues now after Juniper and Thorn because I said very similar things. And then, like I mentioned, that book did me so dirty. So I'm hoping the same doesn't happen with this, but so far I am entranced by Allison Saft's writing. I will be posting the review for this on my Goodreads and on my Instagram, which are always linked down below if you would like to hear my final thoughts on this book, because I am unfortunately going to end the vlog here. This vlog carried into Monday, and it's a weekend reading vlog, so I have to get another vlog started. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, friends. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and if you've made it this far, leave a little fox emoji for the fox that we're hunting in a far wilder magic. I will catch you in the comments, and I will see you in my next one, friends. Bye!